Yeah, we're working together.
The Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, admitting in a public forum that hunger and poverty are largely responsible for the continuous national security threats being experienced in Nigeria, is a direct indictment of Tinubu and his administration. He literally said that Tinubu has failed, that he has failed to lift Nigerians out of poverty. In fact, due to his policies, he has plunged more Nigerians into poverty than he made them. By saying this, the Chief of Defense Staff is also agreeing with Peter Obi. Peter Obi has been consistently saying that if you fail to lift people out of poverty, you can never solve insecurity. An idle man is the devil's workshop. If people are busy earning a living, they wouldn't have time to be joining terrorist organizations. They wouldn't have time to be kidnapping people and committing all sorts of crimes. Before we hear how Peter Obi reacted to General Christopher Musa's statement, let's see what Tinubu said. Tinubu also indicted himself in a statement he posted on his verified X handle. He said, "I am deeply saddened and outraged by the series of tragic events that have shaken our nation in recent days, from the cowardly suicide bombing in Konduga, Borno State, to the horrifying lynching of innocent travelers in Plateau State, and the deadly explosion in Kano. These attacks on innocent lives are unconscionable and must not stand. The bombing in Borno claimed the lives of innocent Nigerians and was a cruel attempt to spread fear. I have directed the National Emergency Management Agency to provide urgent support to survivors, and I extend my deepest condolences to the government and people of Borno State. I also urge our security forces to intensify efforts to hunt down and rout the remnants of Boko Haram and crush their ability to inflict harm on soft targets as a diversionary tactic. In Plateau State, I strongly condemn the barbaric murder of 12 wedding guests, peaceful citizens who were simply returning from a joyous occasion. I have ordered the Nigerian police to work with all relevant security and intelligence agencies to ensure that those responsible are swiftly apprehended and prosecuted. These killings must not go unanswered. I also call on the government of Plateau State to act decisively to end this vicious cycle of violence and work with the security agencies to get to the root of this recent incident and use it as a deterrent against future occurrences. Freedom of movement is a non-negotiable right of every Nigerian, and we will not tolerate any attempt by anyone or group of people to curtail that fundamental freedom through acts of extreme violence and fear. Furthermore, I sympathize with the families affected by the explosion at the scrap metal facility in Kano, where 5 lives were lost. This tragic incident highlights the urgent need for stricter adherence to workplace safety protocols. I have directed the relevant agencies to investigate the cause and take appropriate actions to prevent a recurrence. I offer my heartfelt prayers to the families of all those who have lost and to the injured. To the people of Borno, Plateau, Kano, and Kaduna states, I stand with you in grief and resolve. We will not rest until justice is done and peace and safety are fully restored across our land. May the souls of the departed rest in peace, and may God continue to protect the Federal Republic of Nigeria. This sounds very much like what Peter Obi would say or post on his social media handles. Tinubu is trying to emulate that. He's trying to show that he's empathetic to the plight of Nigerians, despite being the architect of their problems. He was the one that introduced these failed policies that have impoverished Nigerians more. He has reduced nearly every metric that you can use to measure the economy. He has reduced all of them. In fact, most are in the negative. And because of the constant push by Peter Obi and the opposition that he must show compassion, he must show empathy, he's trying to do all that. As a matter of fact, the reason he visited Benue State after the massacre that happened there was because of the push and the backlash from Nigerians. But by trying to show this empathy, he's indirectly also exposing his incompetence. He is in power, he's supposed to take charge, he's supposed to make sure that insecurity is brought to a minimum. He's supposed to fight all the challenges Nigerians face, but instead, they continue to happen. He has no excuse. There's nothing like, I've done this, I've ordered that, I show sympathy, I do that. You have to do the job. If you can't do the job, then resign so that others who can do it will go and do the job. Nigerians need results, not excuses. Tinubu and other APC members have been giving Nigerians excuses the past 10 years. In fact, they started by attacking the government in power before they themselves found themselves in power. Now they've been giving us excuses. Under Muhammadu Buhari's administration, he kept giving Nigerians excuses. He kept blaming Goodluck Jonathan and PDP. At the end of the day, he failed woefully. Nigerians were worse off than they were under Goodluck Jonathan's administration. Now he has taken power. He has continued on the excuses. When will the results come? Now, let's see how P2B reacted to General Christopher Musa's statement that hunger and poverty contribute to insecurity in Nigeria. Posting on his verified X handle, P2B said, "I have consistently maintained that the more we pull people out of poverty, the more we reduce criminality. The reverse is also true. You cannot separate security from human development. They are inextricably linked. The criminality we witness in Nigeria today is not a coincidence or an accident. It is the cumulative outcome of decades of misplaced priorities, the direct consequence of poor governance, mismanagement of public resources, monumental corruption, and systemic neglect. I have consistently maintained that development is not about awarding billion-dollar contracts for white elephant projects or building structures without soul or purpose. Real development means investing in the critical areas of human development that directly impact human capital, education, healthcare, and poverty eradication. A country where nearly 100 million citizens live in extreme poverty and over 140 million experience multidimensional poverty will inevitably face a serious security crisis. Interestingly, the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, recently affirmed this when he rightly stated, "You cannot fight insecurity with bullets alone. You must address the root causes: poverty, unemployment, lack of education, and injustice." This is not coming from a politician, but from the nation's top military commander. Even the boots on the ground know the battle cannot be won by force alone. We must win it through human dignity, opportunity, and justice. Decades earlier, the great Malam Aminu Kano, a man of vision and conscience, warned us. The problem with Nigeria is that we abandon the masses and then criminalize their hunger. His words still ring true today. A child out of school today becomes vulnerable to manipulation and extremism tomorrow. A family that goes to bed hungry becomes a breeding ground for resentment. A community without access to clean water, primary health care, or opportunity becomes a powder keg waiting to explode. Mother Teresa of Calcutta reminds us that when a poor person dies of hunger, it has not happened because God did not take care of him or her. It has happened because neither you nor I wanted to give that person what he or she needed. We cannot keep reacting to crises self-inflicted by bad leadership and policy failure. It is time to disrupt this cycle. We must prioritize productive investment in critical sectors: education, health, and agriculture. These are not just economic priorities, they are national security imperatives. We cannot continue with business as usual. Every naira we invest in people today is one less bullet we need to fire tomorrow. That is the real meaning of security. That is how we build a new Nigeria that is possible. This is common sense for people who don't have an agenda, people who don't have an intentional objective to impoverish Nigerians in order to control them. They weaponize that poverty to achieve their political dreams. So fighting security in Nigeria is very simple. Although the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, already said this many months ago, he said that the military will do their own while the politicians will also do their own to end insecurity. So they all know that human development contributes to why we are where we are today. If people are busy, like already said, fully engaged, every morning they go to work, in the evening they come back to their homes, their salaries are able to take them home, they are not so much bothered thinking about their future. The mere fact that a police officer or an army officer have to think about his retirement, where is he going to be? Is he going to go back to the village? No. All these contribute to what we see in Nigeria, all the criminality, all the corruption, all the insecurity. These people should be the ones that are earning more than the politicians or on par with them on salary, because they do the heavy lifting, just like doctors and other professionals. But here we are in Nigeria, professors earn a paltry 400,000 or 500,000 naira a month, while a senator earns more than 21 million or 30 million naira a month. Nigerians must take this seriously. You can't allow these people to continue playing with your future. Nigerians must make sure they get it right. If you don't get it right, we are just turning around in circles. Thanks for watching.